Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Dave Koken and Adam Trigger of WagerTalk.com. Dave, we've got a really interesting matchup here in the Big Ten. Wisconsin off that ugly loss to Notre Dame. Michigan, hey, they looked good for about 3 quarters, and then they just let Rutgers come rushing through the back door. Number 14 in the country still catching 2 at Wisconsin, total 43.5. I love betting against ranked teams catching points here, Dave. Do you think the Badgers are the right side?
I think the Badgers are the right side, but I've got reservations. And the reservations surround the quarterback. He has been terrible. There's no question about the weak point, the liability on this Wisconsin team is the QB. His efficiency numbers are terrible. If you look at his metrics, his analytics, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the country. And it's really having an impact on this Wisconsin team because it's hamstringing them in terms of what to do offensively, and they're not getting the ball in the end zone. So if you look at the math on the game, Wisconsin's probably supposed to win. But the way I put my numbers together, I do put a lot of emphasis on the quarterback. Because of that, my number on the game is Wisconsin -1. So, and I don't trust the number, to be honest with you. I just don't think Chris has this team on the right page right now, and I don't know what he can do about it with the QB situation. Whereas Michigan is on a roll coming in. This is a different Michigan team than we saw last year. My gut feeling is Michigan's going to find a way to pull this game out. Not going to be a game I bet on, though, because it does somewhat conflict with my numbers, and there's no real value in it to me. But just looking at it on the eye test, I got to vote Wolverines.
Adam, I was actually at Soldier Field for that Notre Dame-Wisconsin team, and I think that final score was rather misleading. It was tied 14-14. Boom, Mertz throws a pick 6. All hell breaks loose. Notre Dame fans get out with a touchdown underdog win. It was kind of one of those crazy games where there wasn't a lot going on, right? It looked like a dead under game, and then all of a sudden it blew up in the fourth quarter. I kind of feel like this game is going to be the same way. I lean Wisconsin here. I know if you're going to bet it at -2, you're a little late to the party, but what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, Kelly, yeah, Notre Dame scored 31 points in the fourth quarter of that game. Wisconsin actually had a lead in the fourth quarter at one point and gave up 31, which is, again, just not really indicative of kind of how close that game was throughout. But it kind of goes back to what Dave was saying with just the missed opportunities and the mistakes on offense. Wisconsin couldn't run the ball last week when they needed to. Terrible in the red zone, and that's been going on. You go all the way back to the Penn State game where Wisconsin really outplayed Penn State, but just could not convert on what are, scenarios where a team like Wisconsin should be able to convert. 1 for 14 on third down against Notre Dame. But, the most misleading thing, I think, is the final score in terms of how well the Wisconsin defense played last week. I mean, they had 6 sacks. They were all over. Notre Dame only had 248 yards of total offense. So, that the 2 pick sixes, the 2 defensive scores really start to sort of throw the final score out of whack there. I'm not a big Cade McNamara guy. I think he's serviceable. I think he's done what he's needed to do so far for Michigan, but he doesn't seem like a dynamic playmaker that's going to win them big games. Obviously, Michigan hasn't really played anyone yet. With Washington, still a little bit down this year. Of course, they had a loss to an FCS school to start the season, and then their first Big Ten opponent last week in Rutgers. So they kind of step up to play Wisconsin here. Wisconsin's already had 2 games against top 10 opponents. Penn State is now 4 in the polls. Notre Dame is 9. So that could help them out here. I lean toward Wisconsin. I think at some point they're going to put it together. I do think they outplayed Penn State and probably, could have won that game had it not been for some mistakes in the red zone. So I haven't got to the window with this one yet, but I would play the Badgers here.
All right, good stuff, Dave and Adam. Make sure you guys head over to our WagerTalk YouTube channel and check out all of our other videos.